Hi, everybody. Wanted to give a quick Friday afternoon update on Brandon Woodruff. He threw off the mound a few moments ago down in Phoenix at spring training. He has not thrown since 2023 to live hitting. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So how good did he look today? Brandon Woodruff throwing off the mound to a couple of live hitters for the Milwaukee Brewers. Had a chance to see some tape on it, and we'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. I promised on yesterday's podcast I was going to come back sometime on Friday after Woodruff had thrown his 25 pitches, and give you a little update on what's going on there with him. So I thought he looked great. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's not thrown to live hitting since 2023. Remember when we last left him back in the fall of 2023, then he had the surgery, but he threw to a couple of Brewer hitters today, Jake Bauers and William Contreras. And he said afterwards, Woodruff, that he just wanted to be able to put the uniform on today, do his pregame routine. He threw in the bullpen a little bit before he took the mound. So he threw a little bullpen, and then he went up to the mound and took on some live hitters, two of them. Looked like he was working up a sweat. Said there was a little nervousness in there, and certainly, of course, the guy's career is on the line. He's coming back from major surgery, and he's not pitched in a month and a half. He sees his career flashing before his eyes. What's going to happen when I go out there and let it go against live hitting? So, how am I going to be? Is there going to be any pain and all that? How are things going to go? So he says there was nervousness, but he said it was better than expected. And I told you from my past experiences with Woodruff, you are going to get the truth out of this guy. He'd tell you if there was some pain. He'd tell you if there's some anxiety or whatever. But he said he's happy with the way he threw out there. And he threw the 25 pitches. Again, at 32 years old, he's coming back from this type of surgery. And, I thought he looked fantastic for a while. Yeah, I mean, the command wasn't totally there, but the guy isn't throwing to live hitting. But I think it's something to work with right here. And he says he wants to do a couple more of these. Still doesn't know when he's going to throw in a spring training game, if he even does throw in a spring training game. So that's where he is at this part. He's still building up. He wants the pitch to more live hitting. And he said, yeah, it was a little nervous getting in there and facing William Contreras as one of the two hitters that he was facing, the others being the lefty Bauers, but wants to continue up and continue to pitch. And that's where we all should be on Brandon Woodruff. We shouldn't expect this guy to come in and be at the top of the rotation. Yeah, they signed him to a 2-year, $17 million deal, and that $17 million was based mostly on what we're going to get from him in this upcoming season. And last year, obviously, all rehab, spring training last year, he never even put on a uniform. He was just in the shorts and a Brewer top. But today he put on the 53, he put on the jersey, he put on his game jersey like he was actually pitching in a game. This was like game day for him. And he went through the entire routine, and he said he felt pretty good afterwards. And now the question is here, how is Woodruff going to be in the days following this? Because he might feel good right now, but where is he going to be 1 or 2 days after this? Where is he going to be on Sunday night? Where is he going to be Sunday when he wakes up? That's really the second test, how he threw today, and then how he's going to recover from this in the next couple of days. Said he was going to go inside after he talked to the media a short time ago. The members of the Milwaukee media who's down there covering it, said he's going in and watch the videotape, watch the mechanics. They're going to break down film and see exactly what he likes and what he doesn't like and what he can improve on if there's anything different from years gone by. If he's whatever he's doing out there, he wants to have his mechanics down. He wants to be great. And he's worked awfully hard to get to this point. But I know on Friday afternoon, he said, he told the media that he was going to go down there and watch some tape. So that's what's happening for him right now. And of course, on Monday's episode of Locked On Brewers, we'll have an update on Woodruff and how he's feeling after that, because the media certainly is going to catch up to him in the next couple of days and they ask him where he is at. So that's what we saw. We saw Woodruff go out there. He threw the 25 pitches. He didn't have to walk off the mound. He wasn't holding his shoulder or his back or anything else. And he was working up a lather out there, working up a sweat. And so far, so good. It looked great with Brandon Woodruff. So that was really good to see on a Friday afternoon. Again, we're not expecting him to be in part of the rotation to start the regular season. As I talked this past week with the DL Hall injury for that number 5 spot, I'm expecting Ashby to probably win that number 5 spot unless the Brewers somehow go out and make a trade, which is never going to happen for a pitcher at this point. So I think it's going to belong to Ashby until further notice. Until Ashby gets up to speed. So all good, or until Woodruff gets up to speed. All good today. We'll talk about that again coming up on Monday's podcast. I want to tell you something, though. Nice little touch the Brewers had today. We'll get to that before we let you go. We'll get to that next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Tell you about what the Brewers, nice little touch they had on the field today. This episode, this short little episode, is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, and plenty of NBA action coming up this weekend, college as well, but when the NBA game, the action tips off, there's no better place to get in on all the action than on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you could place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off, you'll want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, stay in the action. You know me, I like to take heavy favorites that are dogs in the second half, and that's the way I roll, college or pro. And you can do that all on FanDuel. And the same game parlay, it's also a great place to go. Now, I love using the FanDuel live feature. I've been a fan of live betting for a long time, and I'm telling you, like New Mexico the other night against Wyoming, New Mexico down by 11 points at one point, got New Mexico minus 250, and I rolled with it and got the New Mexico comeback win. Right now, FanDuel customers get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So visit FanDuel.com to join today. FanDuel.com, your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. So you got the Woodruff update, and also want to tell you with Bob Uecker, a nice little touch that they had at spring training at Maryville, at the field there. The Bob Uecker signature in cursive right behind home plate, right behind the catcher's box and the hitter's box and all that. A nice Bob Uecker signature that'll be there for the entire spring training. So a little bit of surprise to see that. And we'll see if the Brewers do that at AmFam Field. Generally, what you see at AmFam, what you see down at the spring training on the field, they kind of bring some of that back home here. They kind of replicated it at AmFam Field. But the Bob Uecker autograph right on the field behind home plate at spring training, we'll see if they do that at AmFam Field. But it was a cool. Bob Uecker's got just wonderful penmanship. And it looked pretty cool. It's kind of like the same autograph that they have on the patch that they're going to be wearing this year. So that's it. That was the one other touch I noticed when Big Woo was throwing his pitches today. Hey, by the way, you want our podcast? We're here. 30-minute podcast daily here on Locked On Brewers. You get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your podcasts. We are there. We're the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet because of you great Brewers fans out there. You put us on the map. You make us great. And like I said, we're going to be here updating anytime breaking news like this happens with somebody on the Brewers. In this case, this is big news. This is big early camp news. And day 2 or day 3 of camp here, as the pitchers and catchers have reported. Not a lot of information has come out so far, but of course, if anything big like this happens, we'll be sure to cut in. And of course, follow us on our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making us your first listen to every day and for all the breaking news. And of course, if you want any news as far as what's going around the rest of Major League Baseball, make sure you get my guy Sully on Locked On MLB. He's got all the spring training news and these latest free agents, wherever they're signing. Sully's got that on Locked On MLB. All right, we'll see you all on Monday morning, everybody, for Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.